Over the past couple of weeks, it seems like there's been a little bit of steam picking up in the Toronto real estate market. Now, my goal this week was really to dig down deeper on what's causing this. Is it something that's legitimate? Is there actual numbers that back this up? Are there offer dates picking up? Are there prices jumping up? I wanted to get a good sense of what's going on in the Toronto real estate market and forward that to you. Before we dive a little bit deeper into those numbers, my name is Gabriela Batista from Homes into Reality. I'm a Toronto real estate agent with the sole purpose and sole passion to help first-time buyers in the Toronto real estate market. I want to educate you every single week, so when you're ready to make that first big move, if it's a month from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever that is, you can do so with confidence. All of my information is in the bio below, my phone number, my email. If you want to book a call with me, you can do so there. And you can follow me again. Subscribe on YouTube, like on YouTube, and follow me on Instagram for more great content just like this. So enough of me, let's dive deeper into those numbers. I took a sample size of C1 Toronto condos, and that's mostly because it's the busiest pocket of Toronto when it comes to Toronto condos. It's the most downtown core. We may not be looking at a price index because prices fluctuate a lot in different neighborhoods, but I think it will give us a good sense on the most volume we have for Toronto condos over the past 2 weeks. We are dealing with a volume about 125 results over the past 2 weeks of Toronto condos. It's enough of a sample size for us to get a general idea of what's really going on in the Toronto real estate market, especially when it comes to condos. The one question I wanted to answer, and you've seen the title of the video that I'm talking about, is what's going on with offer dates on Toronto condos? Are they back? Are they making a comeback? Are they, is that just a facade? Is that really happening? I wanted to break that down a little bit more and see if really these are strategies coming back again. If you want me to remind you what an offer date really is, an offer date is a strategy in Toronto real estate that's become more common over the past, several years. Essentially what an offer date will do is prices will be priced lower. So a listing agent or a seller will purposely price a property a little bit lower than market value with the intention of bringing a lot of buyers in and create a bidding war for that property with the intention to get the best price possible when they're selling their property. And the strategy is much more common when there's much more demand versus supply. So there's more buyer interest, people are using the strategy more. If there's less buyer interest, the strategy isn't as common because it's not very successful. So that's the one indicator where I kind of see offer dates are coming back, and then there's a little bit more steam picking up in the market. So for the 125 properties that we pulled up from our sample size, we got about 29 offer dates that were used. They weren't all successful, but they were used, that strategy at one point. And that's about just under 25% of the total amount of properties that were listed in our sample size. So 25% of those properties were listed with an offer date versus offers anytime strategy. So the dominant strategy still seems to be offers anytime, and that's for the condo market particularly. So most properties are still being listed at their asking price, and with that being their expectation of what price point they wanted to sell at. But what I am seeing over here as well, for the offer dates that have been happening, the median days on market typically is 7 days on the market. They'll give, so they have 7 days to look at the property, and on the 7th day they'll sell the property. They're going about 13% above the original asking price. So that makes me to believe that they're actually pricing these properties pretty aggressively to get that interest. If you're going to get 13% over, and considering it's not the dominant strategy, the properties that are succeeding with this strategy are being listed significantly lower than what their expectation is. Let me use some examples to kind of show you what I mean by offer dates making a comeback. This property at 12 Yonge Street was listed at $499 and ended up selling in 2 days on market at $600,000. What's interesting about this one is it originally had an offer date. They wanted to hold back for about a week before they accept any offers, but they got a very aggressive, let's say, offer early on of $600,000, and they were happy enough to go with that offer. But you can show the expectation here that they had to list $100,000 less than what they were expecting on that property to end up getting that amount of interest, where someone would come in with its probably market value of $600,000. That's 20% over what they were looking for at the original list price. So they're marketing it pretty aggressively for people to come in and get some interest and some eyes on it. Another example here is 318 Richmond Street. This property was listed at $499 and ended up selling for $633. So another situation where a fairly aggressive offer price or a list price for them expecting something a little bit higher. And you can look right away, this property was never worth $499. It was always something that was going to sell probably in the sixes, even with an offers anytime strategy. But the idea is they wanted to get as much interest as possible, and they wanted to take advantage of a high buyer market. This one went all the way to the offer date and sold on the offer date as well. What's curious to think is, we'll never know for sure, is the amount of offers that were probably listed at this property. There probably were several buyers that went in at, let's say, $499 because that's what the list price was. And there are several offers maybe slightly above $499. Maybe they were at mid fives, low fives. But in the end, only one person bought the property at $633. But that amount of interest that came from this offer date strategy, it brought in buyers, brought in eyes, and in the end got them the price point that they were looking for. One last scenario I'll show you, maybe to a little bit of a lesser degree of success, but still something that shows how offer dates work, is they were listed at $798,000 and they sold at $840,000 for this property. And if you look at this property, they waited the full 7 days and they got above what the list price was, but it wasn't probably significant. It's only 5% above what that list price was in the end. Some people may look at that as a failure. Maybe there wasn't that pent-up buyer interest because the product wasn't there wasn't as many eyes. It's a little bit of a higher price point as well. So not all buyer or offer dates are working to the same extent. And maybe that's why it's not as commonly used across the board just yet. It's very curious to see these different opportunities with offer dates. But the one thing to remember is for every one offer date that I'm showing here, we have 3 or 4 of them that are offers anytime through condos and are not selling these huge numbers above the asking. What's far normal that I'm seeing right now is things like 8 Mercer Street, the one I'm going to show up over here, is they were listed at $655 and they ended up selling for $620. And that was after 23 days on market. They went slightly under what the asking price was, maybe closer to what market value is. And this is after, let's say, they're waiting a week, waiting 2 weeks, waiting 20 days for an offer to come in. And this is, I would say, more than normal, where there's offers anytime. They have the expectation of their list price of what they want, and they might get slightly less, maybe slightly more what they want, depending on competition. Another example, like 99 John over here, which was listed at $749,000, and they sold after 8 days for $735,000. So it still took 7 days in the market. They weren't holding back offers. It was offers anytime. But a buyer came in within a week, 2 weeks, and came in very similar to what their list price was, but maybe they came in a little bit down, negotiated a little bit down because maybe comparable said so. Maybe they're able to get a little bit of deal. They want to get that deal done. So there's still that steady interest in these condos that are selling, but they are maybe not going on offer dates. And it's the far majority, because if only 29 of these 120 properties are selling via offer dates, the other ones are selling through offers anytime, where there's much more room to breathe for a buyer to negotiate and get a good deal for their clients. We've now looked at the 5 properties that we've looked through this month's stats, and we can answer the question: what's going on with offer dates in condos? Are we seeing an offer date situation come back? Are we seeing a big pickup in the market? And you know what? I would probably say in the condo market particularly, it feels very similar to as in the past months. There maybe is a slight uptick in strategies with offer dates and a little bit more buyer interest. But I don't think it's enough where I think it's a huge shift in the market. It's still a very friendly market for first-time buyers. Look at these condo prices, entry-level prices. You might have some competition, but I don't think it's a ton of competition. A lot of these things are just waiting for the right buyer as long as they're priced properly. And the important thing to note is there's 125 properties that sold in the past 2 weeks in C1. There's also a lot of properties who haven't sold in the past 2 weeks and are still sitting on the market. So this is only picking out of successful properties. There's still a ton of properties that haven't sold because active inventory is up when it comes to year over year. So it's an interesting conversation. I think offer dates, they may be having a slight comeback. There's a little bit of a narrative that they're working a bit more for real estate agents. But I would say for the first-time buyer like yourself, I wouldn't be alarmed that prices are flying off the shelves. And I can confidently tell you, if the prices are flying off the shelves, I would tell you that in a video. I have a video coming up with a big thumbnail and big, maybe not clickbait, but show you what's going on. So you can feel very confident that as things go on, I'm updating you on those prices and how they're changing. The good news is next week you can expect the condo numbers video to be coming out. That's the video every single week where we break down 1-bedroom studios, 1+ dens, and 2 bedrooms, and how those prices have changed March over to April. So that video is coming out next week. So it's something to look forward to when we dive in really deep on those numbers. That was a quick tidbit on what offer dates versus offer date times is going on in Toronto right now. I hope it was helpful. A couple of case scenarios to give you guys some insight on what it is to be a first-time buyer. If you have any questions, if you want to dig deeper on something particular, give me a shout. My information is below. You can book a call with me as well and go from there. Again, my name is Gabriela Batista, Homes into Reality. Happy to help you as you move along and become a first-time buyer in Toronto. Take care. Talk soon. See you next week. Bye.